Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast and Vinyl Channel. Why does Side 1 get all the love? A lot of people, every time they start making lists about music, the first thing they do is go, oh, here's my favorite Side 1 track ones. Today we're going to flip the record for real. We're going to do some of my favorite Side 2 track ones coming right up. If you haven't already, I would please ask you to make sure to hit the like button on this video. If you enjoy it, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If this is your first time with us, we have a brand new vinyl video every Thursday and Saturday, and we hoped there's something in there for you to enjoy. Please make sure to drop a comment below to get involved in the conversation as well. For today's video, I'm going to talk about flipping the record over and checking out some awesome track ones on Side 2 of some pretty iconic records. There's going to be some artists in here that are pretty obvious, but I picked what I think are some tracks that might not be so obvious, just to kind of get the conversation going. First example that I want to bring up, Pearl Jam 10. I don't know, one of those records. I've got a couple in here that I'm not even sure how to hold it for you. I believe this particular one has a different orientation than most of the versions of 10. However, Side 2 of Pearl Jam 10 starts off with a killer track called Oceans, which really for me almost tells a story of how the record was tracked. Side 1 of this album is extremely heavy theme-wise, from dealing with homelessness and even flow, to the situation of that Eddie Vedder speaks about regarding family life and Alive, of course, all the way up to and including the extremely delicate topic that's covered full force in the closer of Side 1, Jeremy. And then Oceans starts off Side 2. The way that the track starts is almost like a breather, just a give you a moment before the song kicks in and gets just as intense as Side 1, and then the album continues to be an intense ride all the way out through the end. But I think the way that the record starts on Side 2 with Oceans is just a perfect way to start Side 2. Another one that's going to seem like kind of a obvious artist, but maybe a Side 2 track one that most people don't think of, is the first track on Side 2 of Michael Jackson's Bad album. In a sea of hits on this album, from the title cut to The Way You Make Me Feel to Man in the Mirror to Dirty Diana, you go on and on and on. The song that starts Side 2 was a single and was a hit at the time, but doesn't really get the love that it deserves anymore, and that is Another Part of Me. Fantastic way to start off Side 2 of this record, and a really good way to kick into everything that's going to come after it, with, of course, Man in the Mirror being the iconic track that follows it. But Another Part of Me really keeps the vibe going of the record that was started on Side 1, and really kicks in what to expect from Side 2, because there are more tracks that are as upbeat as Another Part of Me. There's kind of a rock feel to the song that is revisited on Dirty Diana later in the side. And for me, Another Part of Me on Michael Jackson's Bad is a killer Side 2 track one that doesn't get enough recognition. The next one is a really popular record, and arguably one of the greatest records ever made, but a lot of people really don't talk about the order of the track listing, and that's the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, which starts Side 2 with what some people say might be the greatest song ever written. So if you ask me, that's a killer Side 2 track one, and that's God Only Knows. Again, after just a sea of beautiful and deep music and lyrics on Side 1, Side 2 really kicks off with a song that's even more lush and a little more laid back than the album opener, Wouldn't It Be Nice, with just some fantastic and beautiful lyrics that there's not a lot to say that hasn't already been said about that song. But I think when people think of Pet Sounds, they always think of it as a whole piece, and really don't stop to admire the way that the track list is done. And I think God Only Knows is just a fantastic Side 2 track one. Next up is Aerosmith's Permanent Vacation record. This record is really maligned by a lot of Aerosmith fans, depending on your point of view, for good reason. It really is the album that kicked off the Geffen era. Yes, there was Done with Mirrors before this, but this is the one that really kick them back into the stratosphere with Dude Looks Like a Lady, Ragdoll, Angel, the huge monster radio hits that were on there. But one thing that you hear a lot of Aerosmith fans complain about from the Geffen era is it doesn't sound like, you know, like dirty, down and dirty rock and roll like Aerosmith used to do in the 70s. And I would argue that there are more than a few tracks on here that maybe weren't released as radio singles that do have that vibe, and maybe a lot of people didn't dig into the record. One of those tracks is the song that starts side 2. Hangman Jury is completely different from everything else on this record. It's almost in parts like a bluegrass type song, but then it goes into a slinky, dirty rock, along lines of like a Last Child, Back in the Saddle type groove. And it really is made in place on the record by the production, but it's out of place in that it would never have been friendly radio play or anything along those lines. But it is a really good way to kick off side 2 from a record that I don't think gets enough love from the greater majority of Aerosmith fans. I think if you have this one laying around, or if you want to just bring it up on streaming and hit play on Hangman Jury by Aerosmith on Permanent Vacation, and I think you'll find that it's a really fantastic way to kick off side 2. The last one that I have is another one I'm not quite sure what the orientation of this album cover is. Hold it one way, or the sleeve comes out another way, the actual record comes out another way. In any case, Prince and the Revolution, Parade. Now with Prince, I could have picked 10 to 15 different side 2 track ones that were amazing. This one to me is one of the most underrated. This album has, again, most known for the hit Kiss, but also had hits like Another Lover, Like a Hole in the Head, fan favorites like Christopher Tracy's Parade, Sometimes It Snows in April. But side 2 kicks off with the first track, Mountains, which was a single, but not nearly as big of a single as it should have been. I think Kiss was just so enormous that there was really going to be no follow-up for that off of this as far as success goes. But Mountains is completely unique song to this record. If you know Prince's material, it's got kind of a vibe to it like a Paisley Park or a Pop Life type feel from the Around the World in a Day album. But really, the Revolution firing on all cylinders. Prince himself with a fantastic vocal, great rhythm guitar work, and again, the message in the lyrics really goes along with Prince's overall messaging of hope and love, and really sticks out on this record for that, because there's a lot of songs that are a lot darker that go with the theme of the movie that it was made for, Under the Cherry Moon. So that is my rundown of 5 track 1 side 2s that I think are killer, that some songs people know but don't really realize their place in the album. As I mentioned before, if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up on it, and more important than that, I would really love it if everybody would get involved in the discussion down below. What are some of your favorite side 2 track 1s? All the debut tracks on record, side 1 track 1, get all the love. Let's kick up some love for side 2 track 1, and leave me a comment below. Maybe there's some I didn't think of. I'm sure there's a ton I didn't think of, but leave me your favorites below and we'll have a discussion about it. We appreciate you so much for watching the channel, and make sure to tune in every week for not 1 but 2 vinyl videos.